Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me is my shiny compadre. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing
Look, just because I've been out in the sun a little bit
today?
doesn't mean you have the right to come at me like that.
I haven't seen you, so I wasn't, and I thought it was a compliment with this episode. So fuck you. But hey, everybody, today is episode 89 of the Pokemon series labeled the Crystal Onix, or translated from Japanese, the Crystal Iwark. So I guess Iwark is how you say Onyx in Japanese, or just what they call that Pokemon out there. And this week I do have a Sword and Shield Chilling Rain booster pack. I'm bringing it back, everybody. So
Nice.
so that I haven't had one of these booster packs in quite some time, and you will be getting that nice game code for your Pokemon trading card game live or trading card game online a little bit later on this episode. And if I can even get it open, I will let you know whether this is going to be a dud pack or not. It is. It's a
Cool.
black card for this. So technically, for this pack, it will be a dud, but we will see what I end up getting. But other than that, I wanted to talk to you about something, bro. And I know you're on your computer because we're recording, but um, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet have released the Pokemon professors. We're getting two professors, depending on which version of the game that you play. And boy, oh boy, they sexed up the damn professors. Like we got some young, like good looking professors, like very good looking professors. Like
It,
this is a first for Pokemon that they kind of gave them this type of modern look. Have you seen the new professors, bro?
no, I haven't really been plugged into the goings on other than and I know this is old news, the starters.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let's see.
If you just type in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet professors, you'll get a whole bunch of stuff, including how everybody thinks they're sexy. And I know I sent over in the group chat the thing with Adam Cole on G4 not too long
Hey, you need
ago.
to not do that shit at 1:30 in the morning. That's your problem.
I was watching it at that
Fuck.
time. Yeah, I just had it. I couldn't sleep. And it came on the TV, and I was like, I wonder if they cut this on YouTube. So I found it and I sent it over to you guys. Were you sleeping? You're normally awake around that time.
I was awake, but I wasn't gonna. I'm not responding to no damn text after midnight unless it's a goddamn emergency.
Yeah, it was 1:30 in the morning. But Adam Cole was pretending to be the new guy professor. I believe his name is Turo, who is going to be in the Violet version. Or you get good old Sada, which is the female in the Scarlet version. And this, like I said, this is a first that Pokemon is not really giving you like full blown like professor. Like these are some good looking characters that they're bringing into the game, and it kind of fits because this is going to be the very first open world Pokemon game where once the game loads, you can go from point A to Z and just walk through without any loading screens. Apparently, is what they're trying
Oh,
to do. Yeah,
nice.
unless you're like going into a building or something, which I mean,
Right.
of course, you're going to get the fade in, fade out. But yeah, you apparently you can go from town to town and not have anything kind of fade out on you. It's all open world, and apparently going to have some really big online things that they kind of been testing out with a couple of the previous versions. So I'm pretty excited for this game.
It's getting some buzz. When is it out? Because they revealed the starters a while back. I thought they were getting close.
Yeah, the well, it's not going to be out until around November. I know they came out with the release dates finally. They are out. Let's see. November 18th is when they're
Mm,
out.
damn.
Yes. So and that's normal because they normally bring it out around the Christmas holiday, like right before Thanksgiving, going into the Christmas holiday and having it as a nice Christmas gift to be under the tree for kids that play Pokemon. So I mean, it's a good thing. They kind of got off of the whole I believe Pokemon games used to come out when we were younger around I vividly remember like springtime for Pokemon games. Springtime and maybe summer, but I remember spring.
I
Going
have a
going
memory of getting one game. It was towards the end of the school year, so you're talking
early
Mayish.
summer, yeah, Mayish. Okay, so yeah, but these games, we have the artwork now. They just introduced the artwork of the Pokemon Violet and Scarlet games. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm gonna be one of those people. But the character that they have on the Violet um, on the Violet cover, when they played him, when they introduced him in the trailer, looked like a dick with two balls. I'm sorry for people that, and I know I'm a very big Pokemon person. I mean, we're doing a damn podcast, but that thing looked like a freaking dick and balls, like in the trailer. And G4 kind of alluded to that as well. They're like, look at this Pokemon. And they posted the screenshot. And they were like, yeah, that that looks like a dick and balls for that Pokemon. But the one for Scarlet fucking looks like a badass dragon. I want that. I want that Pokemon. But they're definitely going to get my $120 because I'm going to get the double pack when the game comes out. That's exactly what I'm doing.
So you have those pre-ordered, right?
I have Scarlet pre-ordered because they just announced last week the bundle pack. So what the guy at GameStop told me was just go ahead and put your money down because I'm a pro member. So each month they give me $5 that I can put towards anything. So I just rack up every month I get my $5. I run over to GameStop and say I want to put this $5 and add it onto the game. So at the end of the year, I'm only paying for one game. Um, but I can switch my pre-order now over to the double pack now that they have announced the double pack. At the time, you can only put your pre-order down for one of the two games. So I have Scarlet down right now, and I need to go over there and switch it over to the double pack pretty soon.
So can your Scarlet pre-order just be shifted to half of the double?
Um, what I guess kind of rephrase that question. What do you mean?
Oh, you pre-ordered Scarlet,
Yes,
so you want to get both of them.
yes,
So can your Scarlet pre-order just be shifted over, and then that covers the Scarlet half of the double?
yes, it does.
Okay,
Yes. So basically, like I said, I'll only be paying for one game at the end of the day
right.
for for these. But it's funny. I mean, I like getting the double packs, and the only reason I like getting the double packs is because they give you like extra Pokeballs, and you get like those few extra codes that are inside of the box, as opposed to getting just one of the two versions. So
Hey, I mean, look, you don't have to. You're preaching to the choir. You're talking to a guy that just dropped $100 for next year's Madden already. So I mean,
okay. So yeah, I mean at this point, I just need to get over there. I do like the professors. I do like the new legendaries. Um, I'm going to my starter's gonna be that crocodile. Everybody,
oh,
it's an ugly little crocodile, but I
who has
he he's
who
the
has?
he's a he's the fire. I always go fire when it comes to picking my starter Pokemon. And
Ah, man,
I can't now.
I can't co-sign this. I'm Team Duck, man.
Your team Duck, yeah. So is my son. My son is like between the cat and the duck, and he's like the duck just looks cool. He's like the duck actually looks like it makes sense. He's like the crocodile. He's like the crocodile looks like what was it that he said? He said the crocodile looks confused is what he said. He's like it looks like the artist kind of gave up halfway drawing. He had no chill. I was like, man, I was like, tell me how you really feel. I was like, I'm still gonna pick him though.
And I
Oh,
mean, I don't know how easy it is because it used to kind of be a little difficult. It was only something you could do once you get so far in the game. But like, can you still get the cat and the duck if you want? I mean, you're probably talking end game
uh,
unless you.
you know the way that they've done because this is one of the mainstream games. So the way that they normally do it is you need to find people to trade with. Which
Mhm.
what I typically do when I have both versions is I have my main one that I'm going through the game, and normally you have to be like what like 5 or 8% done with the game, and you're finally able to start trading. So
Yeah.
and then I will take the other version. I will play through until I'm able to trade over one of the starters, and then start the game over again. Go over trade over the other starter, so that way I have all of it in one game. That's normally what I
Yeah.
do, and it's a time cruncher. But I mean, it's only about an hour, so you're talking 2 hours to get all three starters of your game. So and all the hours that I end up putting into these games right there, 2 hours is not going to kill me.
No, at the end of the day, no.
So, but yeah, I haven't dug too much to find out what the names of these legendaries. I'm sure it's out there, but the trailer is really really nice. Like I know by the time that this episode gets out there, we only have a few months left because I believe in the free feed at least we're getting around the August or September. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me, everybody, but I believe we're closer to September, so we're a couple months out as of this recording from these games dropping, and I'm
Mm,
really excited. So, any chance that you might get that switch and get
no,
back on the Pokemon game
no,
wagon? No.
no, no. Ain't nobody got time for any of that.
But if someone got you the Switch, you would play. You would at that point buckle down and get the games at that point, right?
Somebody doesn't need to worry about going out and get me another piece of hardware.
I'm just saying. But if somebody got it for you, you would go. You wouldn't waste Zed person's money and not go out and start playing the Pokemon games, right?
No, but I might punch somebody in the face.
I can see you doing that too.
Yeah.
You're like, you son of a bitch. I'm gonna punch you, and god damn it, now you're making me spend more money. But yeah, but that was how I wanted to start this week's episode. The news just came out about a week ago. As of this recording, we're recording this on June 8th. I believe it came out early last week with the trailer and everything. And Pokemon, they I mean, of course they announce it, but they announced it on Twitter like extra late. They're like, tune in tomorrow for a special Pokemon um drop and extras on the Scarlet and Violet. Like they didn't even give you a full 24-hour warning before they did that. I'm sitting here, and by the time that I saw the tweet, because the tweet came through late on my phone, the trailer was already out for an hour. So people are already reacting to it. And I'm sitting here like, man, I would have loved to have seen this live, but it was like at 8 o'clock in the morning, our time, 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, our time. So, but yeah, You ready? Sorry to veer off on a Pokemon tangent, but you ready to get on into this, bro?
Oh, definitely.
All right. So we are going over the Crystal Onix. Have we dealt with shiny Pokemon in the series yet? I can't remember.
Um,
I mean, I know
well,
we have in Black and White, but I'm talking about the original.
we had the variants of the Pokemon at Professor Ivy's compound,
Yes.
but not like
Not like
shiny.
okay.
Like, oh, this this Nidoran's got a different coat to it, or um X, Y, and Z, but nothing to this extent.
Okay. Well, we're about to get. I don't even know because I mean I've seen a shiny Onyx and Onyx is not like crystallized in the game. So I mean, but it's a different type of Onyx that we're about to see. But we start this week's episode off, of course, like a lot of these episodes are going to start off. We're starting off on Lapras, riding the waves and the narrator is talking about how it's fun to be out in the sun and surf, but they don't know that they're drifting off into another. Ooh, excuse me, everybody. Another adventure. And Ash asks Lapras. He's like, "Hey, Lapras, are you okay?" And Lapras like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm good." Everybody's all nice and happy. And then Tracy's looking in his binoculars. He's like, What is that?" And they're pulling up, and Lapras picks up out of the water a bottle with a message inside. And they're like, "Oh, there seems to be a paper inside. Let's take a look." So Ash takes out the paper, and Tracy's like, "Somebody from one of the islands nearby must have thrown it into the ocean." And Ash is like, "Let's see. What does this say? If you know anything about a Pokemon called the Crystal Onix, let me know right away." And it's signed Marissa from Sunburst Island. And Tracy is like, "Oh no," Missy's like, "A Crystal Onix?" And Tracy's like, "Yeah, it's supposed to be an onyx made of glass crystal." And he's like, "Is it real? Nobody really knows. But there are people that say that they have seen this crystal onyx." And Ash, of course, being 10, he's like, "I'd sure like to see this." He's like, "Wouldn't you, Pikachu?" And Pikachu's like, "Pika!" So, of course, now they're on their way over to Sunburst Island, which just happens to be right in front of
Exactly. That's
them.
literally what I was about to say. It's like, oh, that's convenient. So we get the title sequence, the Crystal Onyx, and they're walking along the streets of Sunburst Island, and they're just remarking on all of the shiny glass and the crystal, and everybody's packs are shopped. Everybody shops their pack. Jesus. Um, and Tracy's like, oh, lots of artists live here, and they make glass right on the island, and people come from all over the world to buy it. And she's
Pikachu's
like,
about to break all the glass on the
this
island.
is this was cute because there's a jug on the ground, and Pikachu's like, ah, and Ash goes, you got to be careful with that, Pikachu, because if you break it, you got to pay for it. And Pikachu's like, oh shit, I ain't got no money. And he ducks behind Ash's leg.
and
Um,
and then we get a like this guy yelling at this little girl, and the guy is just being mean. He's like, "Haven't you gone out of business yet?" And the little girl's like, "No, sir." And of course, our trio is being nosy. And the guy's like, "I don't see why you don't close up shop." He's like, "Nobody." He's like, "You got no merchandise. Tell your brother he should just give up already. He ain't got no talent." And the little girl's like, "Yes, he does. He's very proud." And she starts to cry. And then the this other salesman. He's like, "Oh, come on, don't start crying on me now." And we got the trio, of course, running in. Doug, I'm going to hand this over to you about them being nosy as hell.
So, so they're like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And Misty's like, "What seems to be the problem?" And the guy's like, "Do you know this Goyo?" And Ash is like, "Well, no, we don't know her, but you see, it's my show, and if I didn't walk in here, this would be like a 5 minute episode. So, I mean, I got to fill something out this week, and here we are." Um, and the guy's like, "Well, this is ridiculous. I'm I'm in the stall right next to them, and their lack of business is killing mine, and it's ridiculous." Um, but you know what? This is do what you got to do. Nothing like kids today sticking their nose where it doesn't belong, and he just walks away, blah. And um, Ash is like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." Um, and
Yeah.
they're like, "You don't run this shop all by yourself, do you?" And she's like, "Oh, no, 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 no. My brother Mateo helps a lot." And Ash is like, "Well, that sounds nice." And she's like, "Yeah, except now he feels bad and he doesn't feel like making glass, and we're gonna be poor on the street." And Misty's like, we don't even know your name." And she's like, "I'm Marissa." And Ash perks up. He's like, "You're the girl from the letter." And um, pulls it out of his pocket. And she's like, "I knew somebody would find my letter. You must know about the Crystal Onix. Tell me about the Crystal Onix." And Ash is like, well, you see, we're not from the area. We just happen to be floating by, and I don't know nothing about nobody." And
Just broke that little girl's heart like right away.
yeah, she could have fainted right there on the street. And um, Ash is like, "Are you sure there's such a thing as a Crystal Onyx?" And she's like, "Oh, absolutely." Um, Misty's like, "Well, maybe we should all, or maybe we should go in and have a talk to your brother about this." And we go into the shop, into the back room, and um, Mateo's like, "Now, Marissa, you haven't been bothering these nice people, have you?" And Misty's like, "Oh, she wasn't bothering us. We didn't have anything going on this week." Um,
You don't even have anything out in the store for us to even sell. So why can't I talk to these people? But
and
but then the guy kind of goes into why he doesn't have anything in his shop. He, so apparently his grandfather used to run the store, and
mm,
his grandfather and the store used to be full of glass, and he used to make all these glass art of Pokemon, and it was one of the most popular shops in the town.
mm,
And so his grandfather ended up when his grandfather passed. I mean, he doesn't say passed, but when his grandfather left the shop,
they're standing in front of his headstone.
yeah. So when he passed, the shop was handed down to his grandson. So, but every time that he tries to compete with his grandfather's artwork, he's very hard on himself, and he doesn't believe that his artwork is as good as his grandfather's. So he's like, these are, and Ash is like, but these are great. He's like, did you make all of these, Mateo? And Missy's like, they look like real Pokemon. And he's like, yeah, but they're not good enough to me. He's like, compared to my grandfather, they're worthless. And he
Picks
throw,
up a Poliwhirl, right?
yeah, Poliwhirl,
He just wham.
and just breaks it on the ground. And Misty immediately is like, oh, what a waste. And Pikachu's like, yeah, I could have played with that. And Ash is like, what's so bad about them, Mateo? And he's like, they don't have the soul, that sparkle, that inner fire that my grandfathers had. And he's like, my grandfathers look like they could come alive at any moment. And he's like, I just can't find that inspiration. But he had an inspiration, and his inspiration was when he saw the Crystal Onyx. And he goes into this whole tale about how Crystal Onyx gave his grandfather the inspiration to continue doing the work that he did to become the famous artist that he was on the island. Doug, and I'm going to hand this over to you.
So basically, Mateo's thing is if he goes out and captures the Crystal Onyx, that'll be what he needs to get him jump started again. So we basically see a flashback of his grandfather working with a hammer and chisel, and then Crystal Onix comes up behind him, and his grandfather is completely dumbstruck, and we see some statues, and he said, for the rest of his life, grandfather turned out one great statue after another, um, and they're like, wow, and like that was an amazing story, and Mateo walks over and he's like, take a look at this. And we see a rendition of the Crystal Onyx. And he's like, that's the statue my grandfather made after he saw him. And um that's unreal. And he said Grandpa used to say that whenever he needed the inspiration,
He would look over at this Crystal
he would
Onyx.
he would think of the Crystal Onyx, and it would be it. And he said, I've been looking all over this island hoping to
Get
find
the
it. So
inspiration.
yeah, so basically he's just been in a funk, and he's like, I can't find it, but I know it's real. And so that's why Marissa took it upon herself to put that note in the ocean. And she's like, well, it's a good thing we didn't have anything going on this week. Why don't we go Crystal Onyx hunting, fellas? And they're like, yeah, that sounds like a good way to kill 13 minutes. And
Ash, yes, literally goes. He's like, yeah, we can't let a letter from a little girl go unanswered. I mean, yeah,
it's not
yeah.
even December, for goodness sake.
I mean, yeah, you could. You just met them 5 minutes ago. I mean, you.
Well, yeah, but you see, it's a kid's show.
So Pikachu's like, Pika, and Marissa's like, oh, thank you very much. And we jump straight from that to Meowth, and Meowth is like, we can avoid the checkout lines if we pick out what we want and come back later and steal it. And James and Jesse are looking at all the nice artwork, and James of all people, he's just weird. I think James has some weird fetishes because he's looking at this artwork and he's licking it, literally licking it. He's like, oh, this is so good. And Meow gets a big head and he's like, will you two listen to me? And then they drop he scares Team Rocket and they drop the glassware that they're holding in their hands. And they're like, oh no, we broke it. And the guy that we just saw a couple minutes ago yelling at Marissa is like, hey, we have a rule around here. You break it, you bought it. And Team Rocket's like, oh no. And we get a nice they that's a weird transition. We actually had a transition screen. And
Yeah, one of the first times I've seen it. I can't say for sure it's the first time they've used it, but it really stuck out this time.
yeah, for real. So we go straight to Team Rocket, and they're chopping wood in the back because they can't pay for the glassware that they broke. And James is like, "Why do we have to suffer this indignity?" And Jesse's like, "We have to pay him back, and we don't have the money." And Meowth's like, "So we gotta work." And then we have that seller with one of his associates in the back. He's like, I just heard Mateo and a bunch of kids just took off to look for that Crystal Onyx again. And they're like, oh, he believes that story the old man told him. That's pathetic. So apparently nobody on the island believes about this Crystal Onyx. But that perks up the ears of Jesse and James, and they were like, did you guys hear that? Meowth goes. He's like, that's what I call a rare Pokemon. If and Jesse's like, and are you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm thinking we find that Onyx pronto. And Doug, we're going to go back over to you for the start of their adventure to go and find this Crystal Onyx.
Right. So they're walking along some paths and they're like, where do we start? I mean, we've just been in this area for what, maybe an hour at this point. Mateo should be the one kind of leading this. And Tracy's so confident. He's like, Venonat will find it. Venonat can find anything. So he calls him out and he has Venonat look at the statue that Mateo is holding. And the way Venonat sees, he sees the shape, but it's just the shape. He has no other detail. So it's a black mass with the shape.
Yeah,
So
we find out Bennett can't see anything besides like dots.
right. And I mean you say, oh, it's no, he was close enough where if he could see detail, he would have seen detail. So we get that transition again, really making a meal out of it. And Venonat has led them to a rock formation on the side of a cliff. And Ash is like, well, I suppose that kind of does look like an onyx. And Venonat's happier than a pig in shit. He's like, look, I found it. Look, I found it. It's the thing. And I could have punched Tracy right in the nose. He said, how could you let me down like this, Venonat? Fuck you, buddy. What I say to that? Let me
so
down.
so we go straight from there and he calls Bennett back and he sends out Meryl and they use a sound that Onyx sounds like and says, Meryl, can you listen out for this sound? And
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Take a beat here, Hunt, because this is like one of the first instances of a Johto Pokemon, isn't it?
what, Meryl? Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So I mean, this is like, and I mean, because we knew, there was going to be more, and I believe they've even been featured in the opening.
Yes.
But
Meryl has.
yeah, and I thought about this as I was watching the episode, but I've heard some rumors that Meryl might have originally had a bigger role to play in the whole of Pokemon, like because it's kind of patterned after Pikachu a little bit. I mean, because it's a mouse as well,
Yes.
and it's kind of got
The, they used to before they introduced it. I don't know if you remember when we were little, but there used to be a rumor of a Pokemon called Peekaboo.
that's
Uh,
it, that's it,
and
yeah, okay.
and people used to be like, "Oh my gosh, you can evolve Pikachu into another Pokemon." But the only way to get it in red and blue version was with a Game Shark, which kind of corrupted your game a little bit.
Corrupted your game file, yeah.
but but yeah, Meryl, um, it's the water mouse type Pokemon is what it is. Looks just like
And
looks just like a fat blue Pikachu.
Fat Blue Pikachu. So we do get the Dexter entry, and Marrow is cute. I remember playing Gold and Silver. I had a Marrow. You get them pretty early on, if I remember. If
Yes.
you can get them, and I evolved it, and it was probably
I
probably
don't
my number two.
I did not like a Azumarill. Like Meryl is so cute to me, but I do not like its evolved form. And I don't know if I'm the only one out there, but I would rather keep Meryl than evolve it into a Azumarill. I mean, I would do it just to get the Pokedex entry, but I would probably do that with a different Azumarill and just put it away in my box. I think I would use Meryl more than I would Azumarill.
I was always, if a Pokemon could evolve, that was my goal.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um, but yeah, so um I have a soft spot for Meryl and Azumarill, just because it did probably feature as probably my number two or three of my gold/silver party. Um, so yeah, like you said, they play the little MP3 device, um, and Marrow's ears twitch. And he's like, "Oh, good shit, you got something to do." And she kind of focuses, and you see the ears twitching, and points and takes off, and they're like, "Ah, onto something. She's got something." They take off running. We get who's that Pokemon, and it's a perfect opportunity. I mean, it's a fucking layup. They're on the 2 yard line, for God's sakes. Who's that Pokemon? Meryl. No, goddamn Rhyhorn.
Exactly. And then
Why?
this is the perfect opportunity to give you a Pokemon code. It's 4MVKTP4P9Z NW6. That is your Pokemon trading card game code of the episode, everybody. And we can continue. Doug?
So yeah, after we get through cussing, then it's Rhyhorn instead of Meryl when it was perfect for you. I mean, I know they've already done Onyx, so that was out of the question. But goddamn Meryl, I mean, well, whatever. So Meryl is just skipping along, just looking cute as shit. Just fucking. If you don't think Meryl's cute, you don't have a heart. Um,
Just like
and
Pikachu,
she
like I said.
stops and she starts pointing, and they're like, over there on that island. Meryl can't specify, but Meryl's just pointing. She's like, "You told me to find it. I found it. It's over yonder." And she's hopping up and down, and she's like, "Look, look!" And the fucking the
Water
water
parts
starts.
right in the middle.
Why am I doing the motion with my hands so people can't see? But the water parts, and Jesus Christ, and they're like, "What's happening?" And like, it looks like it's some kind of sand. What was that?
um,
Um,
people are popping fireworks.
I.
I have no idea because kids love popping fireworks in this neighborhood.
It's,
It
it's
came
next
it, it, it came through in the audio, didn't it?
because originally I was concerned it was something upstairs.
No, that wasn't upstairs. That was definitely a firework from down the road.
That's next month. Um, like oh, it looks like it's some kind of sandbar that connects the two islands. So it's basically a this is this was a video game moment if there ever was one. Like if you were playing the game, like you would have a Pokemon in your party that could do a certain move, and this is what would happen to the water.
Yes.
Um, and Mateo's like, or maybe when the tide is really low, that you can tell that this is just one big island. So basically, Ash is ready to go, and they just take off. Like they're not going to go straight down the middle of the sandbar just in case the water um goes back and they're fucked. Um, so they're going to go the long way around, and they fall in a hole.
And whose hole is it? Team
Team
Rocket.
Rocket's hole because it's been a couple minutes since we've seen them. I mean, I did have to marvel at the fact that Misty had the presence of mind to hold Togepi up. Um, Togepi's just having a ball because it took a ride, and we get the uninterrupted original motto. They're doing a little bit of Titanic because James kind of has Jessie, and she's doing the um surrender now or prefer to fight me. Oh, that's right. Oh, Team Rocket. Oh, son of a bitch.
So
Um,
Team Rocket walks away, and Ash is like, "Don't worry, Marissa. We're gonna dig our way out of this and beat Team Rocket, and that's a promise." Because she starts crying.
Misty goes, why don't you pretend like you're a tree and leave? And
And James is like, "Oh, who taught you that line, Professor Oak?" Ba-bum.
which is yeah,
A bunch of
um,
tree jokes.
a bunch of tree jokes. And yeah, basically they have to reassure Marissa, but they can't just say, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll be fine in about 5 minutes." These two are idiots. Um, but they should have.
Yeah,
Um, so they get out of the hole. How do they get out of the hole? We
we
don't
don't
know.
know.
We just see
They start running again.
like I mean, Brock. If they were with Brock, he could have used his Onyx and they could have climbed up. They're just out.
Yeah.
No explanation. We only have like 7 minutes left in the episode. We don't have time for that shit. So
And
now they're running down the middle of the sandbar. Now they don't care about the water.
nope, they're about to drown anyway. And they're following
To drown anyway.
they're following Meryl. Meryl has the sound of Onyx in its head, and it's following the sound that it can hear in the wild. And we run up to Team Rocket again. And Team Rocket is in the funniest stance that they could be in. So Meowth is caught by its leg. Jesse is
The trick.
defeated inside of a cage, which that's a million jokes in one.
Right.
James James is it looks like he was about to fall into a hole and spread his legs and his arms out to keep himself from falling inside, which at this point he might as well just fall inside the damn hole. And and Ash is like, I don't understand how this happened to you guys. Ash verbatim said that. And Jesse's like, you see, well, we were setting all these traps to catch you twerps, and somehow we got caught ourselves. So Team Rocket was making these traps, and literally every single trap that they made, they all got caught in. So my question is, did this all happen at once?
Yes.
Because because if one goes off, you can help the one person. Like Meowth gets caught, you can go over and untie him. Jesse gets caught, James can walk over and get her out of the cage. No, apparently Meowth's leg got caught, the cage closed up, and they didn't have a key. And James somehow dug the hole and was able to climb back up and not get out. Somehow. I have no idea. It's the James one is weird because that hole has been dug already. So
Right.
so Misty's like, all of those were for us. And Meowth is like, never mind about that now. Get us out of these traps and we'll help you find the Crystal Onyx. And Misty's like,
Misty's like, "Oh, that's very considerate. Thank you, but no, thank you." And Meryl, Meryl's ears perk up. So, and she points like directly in the cave. She's like, "Oh, it's inside the cave," and they're just walking in, and Meow's like, "Fine, forget it, forget it. If you get us down, we'll do whatever you want." And
and James like, chill, I'm about to fall in this hole. And they go inside this cave, and this cave is immediately so they're surrounded by just diamonds. Like, I don't know about you, but I would have taken some of these, and this would have been me in the video game to make myself rich. So I have all the money that I need and don't have to worry about anything. But
right,
but no, they're 10-year olds, and I think 10-year olds these at least these days would see diamonds and be like, ooh, I want those. Maybe us back in the day, maybe we were stupid enough to see diamonds and just be like, it looks nice, and just keep
yeah,
walking.
it's shiny, but screw it.
Yeah, I mean, kids have YouTube these days, and people are all online trying to say, how do we make $1 million quick? So
Right.
I wish we had that back in the day. I'm just saying.
And
Um,
then you got 9-year-olds that can just open up toys on YouTube and get $1 billion.
Dude, okay, pause. You saw that, right?
Your son follows him.
Yes. So that Ryan kid, he doesn't play with toys anymore. And he's about to have his own TV show following his life and got paid barrels of millions of dollars. Like, what the? And he's still
Stupid.
getting paid for his kid stuff because kids are still watching some of his old stuff on YouTube. It's like an endless cycle. Like, oh my goodness, I wish. I wish.
Stupid, stupid, stupid.
I know. But all right. So Meryl's ears perk up and Meryl dives into the water that is right in front of it. And we find out that Meryl's tail acts like a bobble, so you can see exactly where he's swimming as he's swimming. So Meryl is swimming, 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 and Ash is like, "Oh, that's a handy feature." And Meryl's like, "I found it." And Meryl's like, "There's Onyx right over there." And then they look over and they see eyes inside of the water swimming. Doug, take it from here, my brother.
So yeah, Tracy in particular sees it, and he's like, "I saw eyes in there." And Meryl's pissed. He's like, "Don't make me into a liar in front of these people. It's the first time I've been out in that out of that Pokeball in who knows how long." Come out of here, and then we get a rush of water upwards, and then the Crystal Onyx just comes out of the water, and the water cascades off of its body, and it's just shimmery and shiny, and they're like, "No shit, it's real." And its whole body is made of crystal. Yeah. And Tracy just immediately goes to work making a sketch. He's like, "I can't wait for Professor Oak to see this." He's like, I mean, you could tell he's got a boner. And Marissa's like, "Oh, it's frightening." And Mateo's like, "Don't worry, I brought the perfect Pokemon to battle it with." So you're thinking, "Oh, it's got a fire type or it's got something." Fucking Cloyster.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, oh well, yeah, but Onyx are weak against water types. So
It was literally swimming in the water.
it was literally swimming in the water, but it's a kids show, and we've only got 5 minutes left in the episode. Um, like, oh, what's wrong? And then we put two and two together finally, and we figure out that because its body is made completely of crystal, the water's just going to bead off. And Mateo's like, "Oh yeah, we'll use double barrel," and and it's just nothing. And
And then Onyx
and
comes
it
down and just kills Cloyster.
just right up against the wall, and just we get the double X, and Cloister's done for, and Burris is like, "Mateo, you're fucked," and Team Rocket comes running, "Get your hands off of our Onyx!" And
And we have a funny cartoon moment. We have you get your hands off of our Onyx, and then Meowth is like, "I'm down here," and the camera pans down, and he's like, "That Crystal Onyx belongs to Team Rocket." And Misty's initial thought was, "I don't get it. How did the three of you escape?"
that's
Eh,
for us to know and for you to never find out.
yeah, that's literally what Team Rocket was like. They're like, "That's a secret you will never know." And he's like, "Just think of it all as beautiful junk that we can make with that crystal." And Jesse's like, "I could have the world's longest crystal necklace." And James is like, "We could have a crystal hot tub." And then Meowth is like, "I could have a crystal charm and become the cat's Meowth." Get it? Boom.
I'm
And there
full of
are,
puns this episode.
I know. He's like, "What makes me think that we're going to blow it?" And um Jesse is like, "Arbok, go out there." And "Victory Bell, go out there," from James. And of course, that being said, James gets eaten by Victory Bell. He's like, "Let me go, will you?" Like Victory Bell just loves himself some James. And Doug, take it from here.
So we get Pikachu and Staryu, and they knock everybody over, and Pikachu just goes over and puts his tail on Meow's head, and they get shocked, and they run headlong into the Crystal Onyx, and then um, "Oh, you're a nice Onyx, you're a shiny Onyx," and then they just get completely thwacked through the cave, and it looks like Team Rocket's blasting off again, off into the horizon. We get a little bing, and they're gone.
Yep.
Um, Before we move on, I do want to note that when Misty says, "How'd you get out of those traps?" and they're like, "Oh, that's for us to know and for you to find out." Alf goes, "Quite frankly, the writers couldn't figure it out either."
That's why they didn't have him get out of it.
So now Mateo is staring right at the Crystal Onyx. He's like, now I can see that I'm going to need a little help from my glass blowing partner. And they're like, glass blowing, and it's a Charmeleon.
Yes.
And
Ash has never seen
um
a Charmeleon that can obey his trainer.
that actually listens, right?
Uh-oh.
Um so we see the Crystal Onyx is using Rock Throw, and Charmeleon is using its agility to dodge it, and Charmeleon uses Flamethrower, and the flames completely engulf the Crystal Onyx's body, and it's
Onyx is
glowing
hurting.
red.
Yep. Onyx is hurting.
And I mean, because the crystals retain heat in the first place, because that's the whole bit of the glass blowing.
Yeah.
And Mateo's like, use ember, and Charmeleon, and just a freaking tornado is just engulfing the Onyx. Onyx, like you said, Onyx is feeling every bit of this,
Yep.
and it's like pulsating like red, and it just engulfs the entire cave. And
Onyx
Onyx,
and Mateo meet eyes and they seem like they're becoming one.
right, and they have this really cool shot of Mateo looking into Onyx's scales, and then it goes into Mateo's eye, and it goes into Onyx's scales and Mateo's eye, and it repeats like 5 or 6 times, and it's just like this very deep moment, and it's kind of like the ending to the fight of last week's episode where we had like no dialogue, but you could see like Ash, like even at one point the caption said no audio. Um and it's just this singular moment between Mateo and the Crystal Onyx, and the fire dissipates, and the Crystal Onyx collapses into the water, and
Ash immediately goes, catch it.
don't even think. um Mateo's like, I don't have to anymore. They're like, what the fuck did we do for the last hour? um
And Mateo's like, thank you
Mateo's
for the inspiration, my friend.
like,
I would be
for a
mad.
minute, he's like, I felt a connection and I can't describe it, but like I've got, that was what I needed. I found my spark.
Wouldn't
And
and I'm sorry to cut you off, Doug, but if he wasn't gonna capture it, would you have thrown your Pokeball? I'm sorry, I'm that petty. Like
would I
I would have taken my Pokeball and be like, well, you're not gonna catch it? Okay, fine. I would have thrown one of my Pokeballs.
yeah, I mean, I might have felt shitty for a minute afterwards, but
I
when am I
mean,
going to get the chance?
yeah, for real.
It's like the red Gyarados in whatever game that was.
Yes, I think that's Ruby and Sapphire, I believe.
Yeah, it's like I might have a Gyarados, but I don't have a red one.
And when am I gonna see another red one?
Right. Um. So he's like, I don't need to. This was my inspiration, and um, Onyx kind of looks up and is like, all right, so you're not going to catch me. I'm just going to leave then. And uh, like you said, Mateo goes, thank you, friend, for the inspiration, and we just get a last final shot of the calm water, and we go back into the shop, and Misty has probably the dumbest line of the episode. Um, she's like, "Oh, so that's why he's his glass blowing partner." Like, what the fuck did you think you? That was Ash's line, and she stole it. Because they're with it,
Yeah.
and she's like, "That's a good job, Charmeleon. We're almost done." And Marissa's like, "Hurry up! I can't wait." And Mateo's like, "Oh, you can't rush genius." And then our heroes are at the top of the road and they're waving goodbye, and thank you for all your help. And we see them walking away, and Pikachu Ash has a little uh crystal Pikachu figure.
Yes, and it's cute.
It's really cute, and it's going to break in 5 minutes
Yep.
because he's got it in his fucking hand.
So, but yeah, that was it. And the narrator takes us out of this episode, basically going, yeah, nothing happened, but you got to see a nice little Crystal Onyx. So I hope you're happy that you waited a week for this episode. Because the
That's
narrator
not
literally goes, it's time for our heroes to move on.
that's
like
not how that's not how we feel.
I thought it was a good episode, but this narrator was not feeling this episode. He was not. He's like, but the friends they've made and the things that they've seen will sparkle in their memories forever. This narrator was just basically like, yeah, y'all can just fuck off in this episode.
It, it's a fine line. It doesn't mean diddly, but it's a fine line.
Yeah, for real. But for me, Doug, I'm gonna go first this week. I'm gonna give this like maybe a 2.5 for episode, and only because we got to see a Crystal Onyx. Other than that, you know what? I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a solid 3. For this episode, it was somewhat entertaining, but was very 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 filler. You?
Yeah, I mean this is why I don't like going second. I mean, because one of us was going to get this regardless. Because I was honestly thinking three, but I was giving it a three because of not only the Crystal Onyx, but the cool shot of the infinity. The Onyx scales into Mateo's eye, and the Onyx's scale into Mateo's eye.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that was a really cool shot. And yeah, I mean nothing happened, but you know Ash got the Pikachu figurine that we're never going to see again. So
So, all right.
it's a three. It's a filler, but it's a three.
Okay. It's time now for me to do my energies, and I want other people to start playing along with us too. So if you're driving or you're just listening to this episode to fill your time, think of an energy, and if you get the energy right on your end, you're gonna have a good day today or a good night if you're listening to us at night. So, Doug, regular energy. What energy am I getting ready to look at?
Fire.
Boom! Goes the
Let's go.
dynamite. Let's go. All right. So we got fire energy, spiral energy card. I have a Pinoy trainer card, a Larian, a Larvesta, an Inky, NK, I guess is what it's called. Sorry. Rockruff, Ghastly, Ladybug. My reverse hollow is a Score Bunny, and I have a Volcarona as my rare card non hollow this week. So this Score Bunny card is pretty boss, though. I do like it. So it's a win.
You've ran into quite a few score bunnies.
Yeah. And each one that I have is a different one. So I'm enjoying them. I'm enjoying
Oh,
them.
nice, nice.
All right, but that's this week's episode. Do you have anything else to add this week, Doug, before we blast off like Team Rocket?
I'm not going through no damn cave. No, I just another good night of a couple solid episodes. You know, nothing monumental happened, but the story get
Con-
progressed, so that's all you can really
continues.
ask for. Yep.
And we're done at 10:30. This has never happened. So we can
No.
actually go back and have a decent night tonight. I have a few things that I need to watch. I
Yeah.
have and I'm just filling this until we can hit the 1 hour mark. I I'm gonna be watching the Dumbledore thing that's on HBO Max. Still need to watch that. I need to watch episode 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, so I'll be watching that tonight. And bro, and let's see, this episode's coming out way. Bro, I know you're not a Star Wars fan, but they brought back Darth Vader, bro.
I'm
Darth
happy
Vader.
for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for all the fans.
Darth Vader never died, apparently. So Disney said, we're going to bring him back, and you never killed Darth Vader. You should have killed him when you wanted to. So I'm about to watch episode 4 to find out what the hell is about to happen. And you're probably going to get a few weeks of me just being extra happy these next few weeks with Star Wars, because this is a fucking... Obi-Wan Kenobi is a badass Star Wars series. I'm loving it. So thumbs up. And Jurassic Park comes out this Friday. I got to take my son to go see that this weekend. So that's
nice.
Yeah, that's something else that I can. Oh, I can't. I got a freaking surprise. Oh, we can go on Sunday. I was about to say I got a surprise birthday party on Saturday. So, yay! But all right, we've hit that 1 hour mark. We're past it now. So, a solid good recording, Doug. Go ahead and say your goodbye, Doug.
Bye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you I'm sorry for the last minute and a half of this recording. But have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you next week for hopefully another black and white episode. Have a good night, everybody.